All right, people. I'm going to talk today. I said I was going to make a video on weight loss. This could get a lot long-winded. I'm going to try not to do a lot of ums and try to stay on point. And hopefully it generates some questions. One thing I want to reiterate is I am not a medical professional. I have 16 years plus experience in the health and fitness industry, coaching health and fitness. I got the CrossFit certs. I got the nutrition certs. I have college degree in some things. But this is not like an all-encompassing, every little minute detail of endocrinology and metabolism. And I could totally say some things wrong. I could be misinterpreted. But this is going to be my brain dump, if you will, on weight loss and what I understand it and how I believe it to be and should be approached, especially certain benchmarks in age all play a factor into this. Men, women, hormones, there's various things. Now, what I'm not going to do is provide a bunch of excuses and cop-outs. There is unbelievable amounts of evidence that excess body fat is metabolically unhealthy and leads to chronic disease. Body positivity group out there. Yes, you should probably be happy with yourself, but I'm going to tell you, if you're not putting in the positive work to live a healthy lifestyle, the reality is you're probably selling yourself some bullshit story about being happy with yourself. You're happy and fat and sassy, power to you. I'm talking about the health consequences of carrying excess body fat. Now, there is also nuance there. Some people can carry excess body fat and not have the metabolic negative responses. I've seen it. I've seen people over the years who have excess body fat and have great blood work, great blood pressure. Their body is usually storing their body fat in extracellular fat, not in visceral fat. Visceral fat is usually the source of most metabolic issues, but excess body fat is going to bleed over into excess visceral fat. The majority average of increase too much excess body fat, and I'll explain what excess means, can and does lead to chronic metabolic issues, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. Those are probably the three main ones that they lead to, and that's just proven. Argue it all you want, whatever. I don't think anybody that's going to be watching this video in the short term will argue that. So these are things that you need to take seriously, especially as we age. We don't want to get more metabolically unhealthy as we age because we're already going to fight that battle with the aging process. So the more we can be metabolically healthy as we age, the better. So increased muscle mass, reduced body fat are a massive piece of that equation. So what does it mean to have excess body fat? In general, men should be under 20% body fat, measured by, I say nowadays you need to be on a machine like our InBody machine or DEXA scan, and women under 30% body fat. If men, you don't have to be ripped and muscles coming out everywhere and all the abs and all the stuff to be healthy, all right? You don't. Under 20% for men is generally a healthy body fat composition. 20% would be the higher end of healthy. Same with women, higher end of 30%. 30% would be the higher end of healthy. So when you're reaching those range measured by a machine that can do this accurately, you need to be mindful. So lower end, I don't see much reason for men to be below 10% body fat. If they're competing in sports or bodybuilding or these things, that's when that shift goes sideways like that. And women below 20%, you can definitely start seeing a lot of hormone issues and various things there. So I personally will not coach a male below 10% body fat. I won't coach you to lose more weight. And regardless of your reasoning, if it's sport or whatever, I just won't do it. There are other people out there that'll do it. I'm just not comfortable and I won't do it. And I won't coach women below 20%. If you're there on your own and you're naturally lower than 20%, then awesome. If you're happy and you're metabolically healthy and your hormones are healthy and things. But somebody coming to me, I will not coach them below those thresholds. Above them, though, I will do everything I can to help body fat because it is not healthy. So let's talk about body fat. I got some stuff, right? There's more of my notes. Don't know if you can see it very well. These are my notes. The number one rule when it comes to losing body fat. Now, you're going to hear me refer body fat. I give 0 fucks about the scale. The only time you should care about what a scale says is if it's related to a very specific sport that you make money at competing. That might matter. In general, you need to focus on composition. And that's why I say you need to be measuring composition. Scale is something you kind of keep tabs on, but don't put any weight in it. We want composition. So I'm going to be saying body fat, not body weight. All right. And BMI, totally trash. It's a public health epidemiological number used for garbage data, for mass scale data collection. For our purposes, it's a useless number. Body fat percentage is going to be king. So when it comes to losing body fat, caloric deficit, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you are not at a caloric deficit, you simply will not lose weight. Period. Caloric surplus, so these are calories, this is energy that your body uses to function. If you're not at a deficit, you won't lose weight. If you're at a surplus, you're going to gain weight. It's that simple. It's 100% science. It's that simple. Period. So, the foundation of any diet is a caloric deficit, of any weight loss diet, that is achieving caloric deficit. So you have every diet out there. It's exhausting. It's annoying. I hate it. There's just crap thrown everywhere that this is the next weight loss plan. This is going to get you here. This is going to get you there. No, maybe. I don't know. At the end of the day, most of these, if they're effective, it's because it helps you achieve a caloric deficit. So you have the ketogenic diet, paleo diet, primal diet, carnivore diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet, 7-day diet, specific carbohydrate diet, juice diet. The list goes on. It's all, I look at it all as just like categories of eating. Intermittent fasting, another one. And styles of eating, ways of eating. Honestly, I've looked at them all. I've done a handful of them. I've seen people do them. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. But the foundation of any of these, if people are having success with weight loss, it is a mechanism of caloric deficit. People respond to different macronutrients differently. This is true. So somebody who's having great success on a ketogenic diet, there's a couple mechanisms there. Same with paleo, same with carnivore, same with vegetarian diet. The biggest mechanism when they do this is that it is most likely whole food, unprocessed food. It is not shit food. So all these industries are getting inundated with processed shit, advertised as paleo, advertised as this is keto friendly, and then you flip it over and it's just a bunch of processed dog shit. So I'm sensitive on this topic because of my daughter, and I've been trying to dive into this more, but so much of this out there is getting now processing is inundating what was once potentially pretty cleansing. So when you're on any of these diets, the reality is you're probably going to be eating a lot cleaner. You're probably going to be eating a lot less processed food. And naturally, you're probably going to be eating less calories. Now, the reason you're eating less calories is because eating unprocessed food, the hormones, I'm going to have my computer up here because I don't remember everything, but ghrelin and I think leptin. What are the not Hunger Games, hunger hormones? If I could remember anything, I would just be the smartest guy on social media, I guess. Yeah, ghrelin and leptin. These hormones kick in saying you're hungry, saying you're full. When you're eating unprocessed food, so following any of these diets, chances are these hunger hormones are going to work more effectively. When you eat till you're satisfied, you stop eating. Your body has a natural trigger of telling you when you're hungry and when you're full to achieve the energy it needs for whatever its demands are, right? So when you've had a really demanding, physical demanding day, you're probably going to be more hungry. Your body has more energy needs. When you've had a really lazy day, if you're eating unprocessed foods, you're probably going to be less hungry. When you start, need water, get cotton mouth. When you start eating and mixing in a bunch of processed foods, these hormones can get thrown out of whack. Sugar, for instance, when you have insulin spikes and insulin dumps, these hormones and your body's hunger cues can get thrown out of whack and give you false signals. I'm hungry, and it's craving, it's addiction. There's a handful of things taking place that when you're eating a lot of sugar or carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates, they're going to get thrown out of whack. So you can't trust them. Sorry about that burp. It might have come up there. So all that. So the gist of any diet, whatever one, and I've seen people get really fit, healthy, eating a vegetarian diet. I've seen people get really fit, healthy, eating carnivore, more paleo, more primal diet. I've seen it. The benefits of being in this industry for 16 years, if anybody tells you that there's only one way to eat and be healthy, both metabolically, physically fit, they're dumbasses. And there isn't just one way. I've seen it. And I believe it. And I believe a big part of that has to do with gut microbiome, how they grew up, genetics, their digestive enzymes that they have available that their pancreas is releasing to deal with certain food compounds to extract the nutrients they need. And I think that plays a role in it. Now, I could be totally wrong. That's just my assumption, thought process around it. Done much research into it, but I definitely know like Eskimos can do very well on a high fat diet. They only started getting a lot of instances of diabetes, cancer, and so forth once processed food made it up north. There's people that live in a lot of tribes that are on a higher vegetable diet, root diet, do well. Western society, where we live, sucks. It's all processed garbage. So take that for what it is. Just my thoughts around that any diet can work, and you, the individual, though, needs to be willing to experiment, try different things, different protocols, different ways, not different macronutrients. You still need 3. All these diets, you still need all 3. You need carbohydrates, you need fats, you need proteins. How much of each depends on the human. Depends on their activities. So you still need them though. Still need them. Hormone production, you can't live without glucose. Like your body simply won't function without glucose. You can get ketones and go into a ketogenic state. And your brain will still function. You'll still do this, but your body is still going to convert fat to glucose to store in your muscle and liver. That's still going to happen. Now, if the rate it happens is going to be slower, it's going to be different. All right. Fat adapted people do function differently. A lot of people have great success with it. But at the end of the day, glucose is still being created inside the body. All right. So just because you're not ingesting it doesn't mean your body's still not making it. So I guess, all right, in theory, you don't need to consume carbohydrates, but your body's still going to use glucose at some point. Might not use it immediately. And ketones can be used for brain function, but your body's still going to make glucose. I know this because I wear one of these. Regardless of how much I cut my carbs out, there's still glucose in my body. So, yeah, enough of that. So, what diet is best? I don't fucking know. If you guys know, tell me. Let me know. I have no clue. And anybody that's selling you that this diet is the best diet, and they can, good for them. They must have figured it out. Unprocessed food is the best, right? Unprocessed food is the best. Now, certain bodies, certain gut microbiome makeups, and this happens over the course of our life, our environment plays a huge impact in our gut microbiome, how we are raised. Were we raised on a farm? Were we raised in the city? All these things play different in how our bodies handle said nutrients. We might be able to process more meat than somebody else. We might be able to handle carbs better than somebody else. And I believe our gut microbiome and how our genetic makeup is dictates how we as an individual can handle said macronutrients. But we still need protein, we still need carbohydrates to a degree, and we still need fat. All right? But protein is king. So remember that. Protein is king. When it comes to achieving a caloric deficit, though, that's the nature of a diet. You got to figure out what works for you. I can have those conversations with you guys. If you have specific questions on what hasn't worked for you, what has worked for you, do you even know where to start with this? We can chat about that. There's supplements that help you achieve a caloric deficit. They're stimulants. So basically, they're supposed to rev up your metabolism. Don't mind that they fuck everything else up in the process, but you're burning hotter and you are going to allegedly lose weight, like ephedra. I think it's banned in supplements. It is banned in supplements now, but you can still get it prescribed, and people do that. So I kind of moved over from supplements into pharmaceuticals, but there's no specific supplement. L-carnitine is touted as a weight loss drug. There's not one study that supports that helps with lipolysis, which is metabolism of fat. That excess L-carnitine will actually do that. Your body makes enough L-carnitine for what it needs for function. There's nothing that's been proven that putting that into a surplus actually does anything of value when it comes to fat loss. Supplement industry is full of scams, full of a lot of it touted around weight loss. So there's no specific supplement that I will ever for a second say you should take this to lose weight. If it says weight loss stack, it's either got some sort of stimulant, herbs and fugazi to help boost, quote unquote, your metabolism. Who the fuck knows? I have no idea. So I don't believe it. I don't trust it. I've seen it through the years, from Hydroxycut to the most current weight loss stack of whatever. I think it's all trash. It's my personal opinion. I think there's a lot of great supplements out there. I personally love a lot of supplements. But when it comes to weight loss and when it's marketed as a weight loss pill, I don't trust it, I don't like it, and I don't believe in it. Some people might have had success on them. Sure. A lot of times, what I've seen when people start one of these one of these supplements, it's usually in concert with an overall lifestyle change. So it's like you start this, but then you're excited about it, that you're going to have this aid, and then you're eating healthier, you're working out more, you're doing healthier things. So that's just what I've seen. That's my opinion on all that. Take it for what it is. You got pharmaceuticals. Ozempic's the hot one. It's like a gastric bypass and pill formula. Makes you sick. You don't eat as much. You don't absorb as much. It's basically you don't absorb as much. So then it can lead to all kinds of issues, because when you're not getting the nutrients your body needs, well, it can get sick. But the kids are doing it out there. They love their Ozempic. Celebrities are talking about it. Straight garbage, trash. It's going to screw up your long game. So if you're worried about losing weight for tomorrow, maybe this could help. If you're worried about living a healthy, fit, and being an awesome grandparent, you need to figure out the whole lifestyle picture. If you're morbidly obese and you need to lose weight so you live longer, I still can't get behind these as a methodology of losing weight. I've seen people lose 100 pounds just living a healthy lifestyle and getting dialed in with lifestyle. That takes time, which our society does not like. We want it now. That's why our industry is so inundated with 30-day challenges, 6-week challenges. Let's cut a bunch of weight and gain it right back. It's trash, garbage. I hate it. Despise it. Lifestyle. Exercise and nutrition is something we do every single day for our entire life. That's simple. So, pharmaceuticals, trash, sucks. You have surgery, you can go and literally get the fat cut out of you. Liposuction, they literally just take it out. You have bariatric surgery, where they go in there and they make your stomach smaller so you get full quicker and you don't eat as much. I think that's the two main surgeries. I saw this one, it's like fat freezing. There's like a billboard around town for it. Freeze your fat off, whatever. But these are the easy, quick fixes. And I hate it. I don't believe in it. I don't support it. Don't like it. Nada. Period. Now, you can get into the topic in the conversation around the mental health component, that if somebody does one of these and they lose the weight and they're feeling better about themselves, and then because they're feeling better about themselves, they go on the adventure of lifestyle change, that's awesome. Okay? If this is the catalyst you need, but there's a huge risk going down this way. And that's something you and your doctor talk about. I don't want any part of it. I will never suggest it. I don't hate anybody, so I won't hate you for doing it. But it's something you need to talk with your doctor about when it comes to the pharmaceutical and the surgery. All right? Not interested in it. But those are ways to achieve a caloric deficit. Because at the end of the day, all this stuff facilitates a caloric deficit. We must consume less calories than we eat. It's a 100% fact. If I take somebody that says they've never been able to lose weight, never in their life, I've never been able to lose weight, I have metabolism issues, I try so hard, and I take them and I put them on a deserted island for 6 months, I would 100% guarantee, I can't do 100%, right? 99.9% guarantee that in 6 months, they would lose weight. Without a doubt. There's that show, Survivor, or Alone. They all lost weight. Strange. They're all stranded. Hungry all the damn time. They lost weight. It's just the nature of how our body functions. We need calories to do cellular function. If we don't do cellular function, we die. So your body is going to metabolize fat first when we're at a caloric deficit. Then it's going to metabolize muscle. Then it's going to metabolize you. Then you're dead. So it's like you can only go so far. And if you're looking for the zombie apocalypse, the more fat you got stored, the better. You'll survive. Just in case, just a pinch extra. You never know when you need those extra couple days. Outlive somebody. So then we have what in my mind is king. We got unprocessed food, eating healthy food, combine that with exercise. Exercise is the single most powerful tool when it comes to overall physical health and longevity, period. There's nothing more potent than quality exercise, both strength training, cardiovascular training, when it comes to healthy bodies, healthy cellular function, and calories, eating the calories. Your body just gobbles them up when physical activity is taking place. Your muscles are the most metabolically demanding organ. You can call it an organ. Your skeletal muscle system is an organ of its own, is the most metabolically demanding thing in your entire body. Period. So, now I say that with maybe, I'm sure there's some neuroscientist or some cardiologist or some that maybe the heart at rest consumes more calories. I don't know. I just know that the more muscle you have, the harder you train, the more calories you burn not exponentially, but linearly. I got to be careful. You got to use the right words. I can't get too estranged here. Is muscle. So exercise is king. What kind of exercise? Well, whatever makes you happy. I mean, to be honest, weight training, cardio, running. Honestly, me personally, I don't care. The goal for you should be able to find exercise that makes you stronger, keeps your range of motion, and builds your cardiorespiratory system better. And that's going to help you live longer. So if it combines all those elements, it's a good program. I think there's limitations if you just do cardiovascular training, but the reality is most cardiovascular training requires some muscular effort to pull off. Is there imbalances in muscular? Like runners usually get really dominant legs, same with cyclists, but I mean, they're still using muscles and building great cardiovascular systems. Weightlifters don't use their cardiovascular system as much. I mean, they still use it. You can't have anaerobic, or you can't have aerobic anything. So weight training for the most part is aerobic depending. Explosive power is anaerobic. But when you're doing your sets and your multiple sets, there's definitely an aerobic piece to this. I know this for a fact. You need oxygen. So you are getting a little bit of respiratory work, weight training, just weight training by itself. So especially doing circuits and things like that. HIIT training, all good. I think yoga is a form of training, but I think it's very limited. It's extremely limited when it comes to developing cardiorespiratory fitness. I simply don't think it's possible to develop cardiorespiratory fitness doing yoga. So if I'm wrong, correct me, but I do think you can gain strength, flexibility, mobility, all those things matter there. The most important piece of their exercise program is finding something that you will enjoy and that you will enjoy enough to keep doing day in, day out. That simple. Do I think CrossFit is the best? Yes. I think properly executed CrossFit program is the single best general physical preparedness, health and wellness program that's ever been developed. It hits every facet: mobility, stability, strength, power, performance, speed, muscular endurance. And then the metabolic stimulus that comes with training like this just is, I mean, it's one of the most metabolically challenging activities, which is why a lot of people don't like it. It hurts. hurts so good, I'd say. But when it comes to my experience doing it, and I've been doing CrossFit specifically for a little over 10 years, I haven't seen much in the industry that can shape a population of people and make a broad impact on people better than CrossFit training when it comes to all measurements of fitness. So that's just my take. It's my opinion. Don't come at me. But, if you're into, any kind of HIIT training or specific boot camps or whatever, I really honestly don't care. You're going to be healthier for it. And if it makes you happy and you do it often, keep doing it. That simple. That simple. But little plug here. I do think our training is some of the best you'll find, period. And we have the people to prove it. So we got caloric deficit, right? Drive that home. You have to be at a caloric deficit. Now, how do you know if you're at a caloric deficit? Well, if you're eating whole foods, unprocessed foods, you're at a caloric deficit if you're feeling a little bit of hunger. Right now, at this moment, I'm feeling a little bit of hunger. My body could eat. I'm not going to eat because I let myself be at a caloric deficit. Now, if I was trying to gain strength, muscle size, I wouldn't want to feel hunger as much if I'm trying to gain weight, right? I want to be at a caloric surplus. So when I get hungry, I want to eat and satisfy that itch, as long as it's unprocessed. If we are eating processed garbage, these signals can get thrown wackadoodle, right? They can't be trusted. When you drink alcohol, these signals cannot be trusted. Quick thing on alcohol. Alcohol and weight loss, sugar and weight loss. These are two things that will hardly ever go together. Doesn't mean it can't happen, because at the end of the day, you can end up at a caloric deficit. Alcohol still has calories, but fun fact, those calories in alcohol don't get used for anything inside your body's metabolism. So once the alcohol comes in, it gets converted into acetyl alcohol. But either way, your liver deals with it as poison and wants it out. And what it can't get out, it stuffs away, I believe, in fat cells to protect the body from it. So your liver's going to break down alcohol to get it out of your system because it is just toxic. Your body can't use it for anything productive at all. So those things matter. But if you're in a caloric deficit, if you're hungry, calorie science is not perfect science, but it can give you a ballpark to work with. So you can do math on calories. You got 9 calories per gram of fat, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, and 4 calories per gram of protein. Each one of these is handled a little differently in the body. But you can do the math. You can weigh and measure your food, figure out how many calories you're eating, get your basal metabolic rate, and then add in your energy expenditure and come up with a number. My normal daily output of energy is between 2,500 and 3,000 calories per day. Okay? Again, this isn't perfect science, so I don't really like it, but it's a way to get a ballpark around how much you're eating to know if you're in a deficit. Like I said, calories in doesn't always equal calories out. It's not necessarily a very perfect science, but it can give you ballpark and give you a range to play with and figure out if you're at a caloric deficit. And it does matter if you're eating a bunch of processed garbage. But honestly, it's really hard to talk weight loss if you're still consuming a bunch of processed garbage, because it's just going to be so difficult anyway. So if it comes in a box and has a bunch of things in the ingredients, high probability it's garbage food that you're not gonna, it's not really necessarily even food. It's just a chemical makeup of some stuff. So your body's not gonna be able to deal with it great, and you should probably get rid of it. If you're eating whole food, it should not be an issue. So exercise, and I have here in a box, muscle is king. It's very metabolically demanding. At rest, I am going to be burning more calories sitting in this chair at rest because I have more muscle than somebody 20 pounds lighter than me. So Derek, why can't you eat so much? Well, I got to feed more muscle than you. That's why. when I train at heavier weights and higher intensities for longer, the caloric demand to make that happen because I have more muscle is a lot different than somebody 20 pounds lighter than me. That doesn't mean that person's not stronger than me. They could definitely be stronger than me. It's a whole nother conversation. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have the same caloric demand to maintain muscle mass. Now, does this mean we want to just grow muscles big, massive muscles? No. You want to carry adequate muscle. One, I do think physique's important, especially when it comes to the mental health that you're happy with. But you want to carry adequate muscle to live life in a healthy manner, and you're capable of doing things. No, I want enough muscle to know and strength to know that I can do certain things, not just in the gym, but outside the gym. Recent example of that is I had to carry my daughter from the parking garage at the hospital all the way to the emergency room. And it was no problem. She weighed 55 pounds, not very heavy, but carrying her pretty far, pretty long distance, no problem. It's things like that I want to be physically capable of always doing. So having muscle and strength for outside the gym, and then inside the gym, I just enjoy strength training and I enjoy doing it. So how much muscle do you need? Enough to be metabolically healthy. The more muscle you build, the easier it's going to be for you to be metabolically healthy. The more muscle you build, the chances of better bone density as you get older. The less chances of slip, trips, falls, and massive injuries when you get older. The more muscle you have, the more skeletal support you have as you age matters. Muscle has a rate of decline with age that's taking place no matter what. So once you tip over about that 30-year marker, you start having rate of decline in muscle mass. If you don't do things to maintain it and grow it, it's going to disappear. So as we get older, weight training becomes even more important than anything else in training in my mind. Okay, we can continue to develop our cardiorespiratory system. People with high VO2 maxes has a lot higher longevity than people who have low VO2 max. So you need to train your cardiorespiratory system. This all matters. But muscle is king. I believe muscle is king. And that's coming from a guy that I enjoy cardio. I value cardiovascular fitness and health also. So take that for what it is, basically facts, and believe it. If you shy away from lifting heavy weights and pushing heavy weights, you're going to struggle later in life, and you're not going to be as optimal in the longevity game as somebody who embraces moving heavy weights and growing muscle and developing muscle. So we talked about this. Now, caloric deficit, must have. Next, discipline. Discipline. You're never going to lose weight and sustain it unless you have discipline. And our society is absolutely void of self-discipline. Discipline for longer than a couple minutes, it seems like. Now, when you are picking and working on your diet, this is why I despise challenges. I get it for the little boost, the little hey, let's get going. We just had holidays and this and that. Get in that in a minute. The reality is the diet piece is an ongoing puzzle that you're constantly working with yourself to try to figure out what's optimal for you and what recipe works for you. So when it comes to gut stuff, something you might handle great today, you might not handle great 10 years from now. It's a living document. It's something you're always working on in the parameters of whole, healthy, processed foods. So we got diet, and then we need to apply discipline to our diet and our exercise. It is lifelong. It's forever. It's forever. And under discipline, I have mental health, because your mental health when it comes to diet, weight, body image issues, these are all real things that people struggle with that limit them in their ability to stick to a program, to adhere to a program, to believe in a program. Mental health is so massive in all this. Now, this works both ways, okay? Both ways. You have your mental health, brain, and then you have your physical health. These work together. If you read and study up on gut health and your gut microbiome and how all that works, there are direct connections from your gut and your intestinal tract to your brain. Your gut produces a lot of serotonin that your brain does. Your gut talks to your brain. Your gut tells you, your brain tells you when you're hungry, when you're empty. Certain hormones and gastric juices and various things happening in your gut is sending signals to your brain. These work hand in hand. There is a big connection between mental health, depression, anxiety, and various other mental health deals that are tied to our nutritional health and what we're feeding ourselves and exercise, okay? That all works together. To say I have physical health and ignore mental health is stupid. To say I have mental health problems and to ignore physical health is stupid. It all works together and it needs to be treated as such. So when it comes to discipline and wrapping your brain around the long term, your mental health conversation must and should be a part of that and how all this works together. All right? The number one reason I work out these days is for my mental health. Yes, physical health, but I feel so much mentally better from training that if I go too many days without it, it's just like, it's not good up here. It's a big deal in my life. I know a lot of people that the mental side of our group class training and the mental health they get around the community and the support and the camaraderie, and then the training stimulus, the dopamine, everything that comes positive from the adrenaline comes from applying lifelong healthy eating and exercise. Mental health is big. It's very big, should not be ignored. There's a lot of eating disorders. There's a lot of issues out there that are real and they need to be addressed by the proper people. All right. Make sure that if you're going to get these addressed and you're going to go down the road and talk to professional help, to talk to actual professional help. There are a lot of dipshits out there that quote unquote, what do you want to say? Life coaches, motivational people. I think there's just so much disgustingness that exists in that life coaching space that when it comes to real mental health issues, you need to talk to somebody who's actually trained, qualified, and is a doctor that can help. And they need to be willing to have the conversation around all these categories: nutrition, exercise, mental health. Doctors that just write prescriptions are useless to me. Doctors that aren't willing to have conversations around all that and also potentially use prescription meds, but as long as they're working everything, that is a good person. They're talking about your lifestyle, all the important aspects versus, hey, you need this drug, right? Now you may need this drug, but please make sure you're seeking out actual experts in this, not somebody. Just be careful in the space also. If you go to the gym and you need references on who I know personally in that space, happy to help there and point you in the right direction. But just make sure you do due diligence and you're your best advocate in finding the proper medical help you need, because mental health is a medical issue. It is outside of my scope, outside of nutrition, exercise, and how that can contribute. But when it comes to actually helping somebody with some issues, when it comes to eating, bulimia, anorexia, body dysmorphia, these things, they're very much something that needs to be discussed with a professional. That's where I'm going to leave that. So that all plays into the whole equation. So have discipline. When it comes to discipline, to pretend that you can be David Goggins and wake up every way, I applaud people like that. The reality is discipline and the long game is going to look more like this. This is how it should look. You're going to have peaks. right? Maybe right here is where you started a nice little challenge. Challenge ended, you fell back to the mean, right? You came down, but you didn't come all the way down to where you started. You're a little better. You picked up some habits, you picked up some, some different ways of doing things. Get your groove, have another peak, and then something crazy happens. You lose your job, kid gets sick, some big stressor happens. Boom, health and fitness kind of go to shit for a minute. But you're still above where you started. You catch yourself, all right? You catch yourself. You fight back up. Start getting back up. Over the course of daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and lifelong graph, you should see this trend line move up. And this trend line needs to be adjusted for age. Obviously, you're not going to just endlessly get fitter, endlessly get stronger, endlessly continue to get healthy. This has to be age adjusted. Arguably, past 30, about every decade should be age adjusted. And you want to be in the top 1% of all your peers in that age group. That's my goal. So in the age of 39 to 40, I want to be in the top 1%. In the age group of 40 to 50, I want to be in the top 1%. So it's kind of how I'm looking at the long game of my decade age group. I want to always be in the top 1% health and fitness wise of that group. I never want to see myself fall off too much. Okay? So doesn't mean I haven't fallen off. I have a few times. I think we all do. But you need to catch yourself. Now, when it comes to discipline and consistency, being surrounded with like-minded people, I think is massive. I would not be as healthy and fit as I am if, I own a gym, I get it. But I'm surrounded by people that truly care about their health and fitness all day long. They honestly rely on me to lead them down that path. So I have this incentive to be a leader for them that helps motivate me, drive me to make videos like this. But I also know for a fact that this community out here, all being on the same page of a healthier, fitter lifestyle, is motivating. It is inspiring, okay? It can help when you're in these lulls. Having that community, those people, the coaches, this family, if you will, because we're all going to trip. And when it comes to the discipline and consistency, being surrounded by like-minded people is probably one of the single most powerful tools you can have in your tool bucket to help keep you going, all right? Because we're going to have lulls in our quest of longevity, or optimal fitness and longevity and health. Okay? We need to come talk about some nuance down here. When it comes to weight loss, caloric deficit must be achieved. True. Lifting weights, cardiovascular exercise, all these things facilitate. At the end of the day, what happens during that, you're burning off carbon. Your body is exhaling CO2, and that is your body metabolizing fuels, most likely glucose and body fat. If it's getting the muscle, something's gone awry. So you have your body is metabolizing, going through lipolysis for fat and gluconeogenesis for glucose, taking it into what's known as the Krebs cycle, spitting out ATP, and then your body, your mitochondria, using that to produce energy power. Like, I just used some ATP to lift my arm. Right? Let's see. Oh, and shoulders. Sorry. That what I just did there required ATP. Right? Your body's going to use some energy source to perform movement. Cool. Then when you put a lot of strain and you have to use your musculature even more, the more demanding, the more energy it's going to use. All right? So that's the foundation. It's foundation. No secret pill here. No secret anything. Eat less calories, move more equals weight loss. Now, there's nuance in the calories, the quality of the calories, protein, carbs, and fats, how your body handles these. What is the hormone response to this? Slightly potentially different for everybody. Now, this is a part I can completely trip over my feet and be totally wrong. And if I am, let me know. If my thoughts haven't evolved or educated enough, let me know. And I'm still learning. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still learning. So as we get older, metabolism slows down. I think that's pretty agreeable. A couple reasons metabolism slows down. We're moving less. Mitochondria, our body is aging. We probably are losing muscle. And these are all reasons our metabolism slows down. But in general, metabolism slows down. So that's the thing. We're not growing anymore. We're trying to maintain. So when you have health issues, you have various health issues that can come up. Things from IBD. I don't even know what they are. I just know that there are health issues that can come up, either genetic, unexpected, environmental, that can cause issues when it comes to weight loss. Okay. It's not something I'm just going to pretend doesn't exist, because it does exist. Then you got the big one. The big one is stress. Controlling stress is one of the most important things when it comes to the other part of this and weight loss. And I'm going to explain my understanding of why. When we're stressed, we have these hormones. Right? Cortisol is the big one. So acute doses of cortisol is actually healthy for the body. Your body needs it to perform acute things. So acute, and points a gun at me, I'm going to have a massive adrenaline dump. Flight or fight is going to kick in. Cortisol is going to be haywire. It's going to allow me to perform whatever I need to perform to solve that situation. But it's not the cortisol stress response I'm talking about. It's the chronic stress. The chronic stress, and this can be caused by screen time. This can be caused by life, work, kids. So many various things can be causing chronic stress that can cause your cortisol to be chronically elevated, which is going to in turn lead to other hormone issues. I don't understand the hormone pathways there enough to tell you, like, cortisol is too high here, it's going to mess this up here. The endocrine system is extremely complex. And honestly, I just don't quite understand it to the depth to knowing where each circuit breaker is going to trip. But I do know that elevated cortisol can lead to elevated blood glucose, which then is going to lead to elevated insulin. When we have insulin up, your body can't go into lipolysis. You're not going to be able to convert fat to energy when insulin is high. Pancreas secretes insulin to deal with blood glucose. There are two things that deal with over elevated blood glucose. Okay? When we eat, our body breaks down carbohydrates and sugar, puts in our bloodstream. Boom, immediate energy, flight or fight. Bam, bam, bam. Running. Okay? Needs this energy fast. Take sugar, put it in your mouth, swallow it. Pretty immediately, it's straight into our blood. I know. When I eat something that's very simple, sugar, carbohydrate, my blood glucose response is pretty immediate. Okay? So, our blood gets excess blood glucose. Two ways to deal with it. One, muscle. Muscle can take, if there's demands for your muscle to use glucose to fight or flight, to train, to go walk, whatever. If there's muscular demands, activity demands on the body, you will consume that glucose via musculature. If it's not getting used, your body will be like, oh, this is too much glucose. Pancreas is going to kick insulin into gear, and it's going to go and drive down blood glucose and push that blood glucose into fat. You're going to gain fat. All right? So that's where the glucose equation kind of comes in. What's it being used for? Do we have too much floating around that our body can't deal with? Does our pancreas need to use insulin to get rid of it out of our bloodstream to protect us? All right, so we don't have too much. Your body stores glucose in its muscle and its liver. Those are the two places that we store glucose. When those are filled up, topped out with glucose, glycogen, glycogen, the rest gets stored as fat. The insulin, pancreas is going to kick in. It's going to drive down the blood glucose, and it's just like, doesn't come out my pores. It goes into fat, all right? So you either burn it or store it. That's simple. That's what happens to glycogen, okay? So that is, just to recap, elevated cortisol can increase blood glucose because your body is stressed, doesn't know if it needs to do something at this anxiousness, all right? Elevated blood glucose. And then if you're not actively using that blood glucose in a physical activity, your body is going to turn on insulin to drive it down, okay? When insulin is on, you can't use fat as fuel, right? So insulin needs to be down, use fat as fuel, right? I'm going to get into something else here in a second. Testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. Main hormones in the human body that control a tremendous amount of what we do. I'm not bashful. I'm on testosterone replacement therapy, committed to it 6 months ago. Was not able over 4 years to get my hormone level to a healthy place, to where I would feel good. And after going back and forth with a few different doctors, my wife, endocrinologist, trying to figure out, the big thing that probably was stress is probably the big thing that nuked my testosterone a lot faster and a lot younger age than anything else. So that's where I'm at. So if you want to get in, I will probably end up doing a deal on my experience with TRT and testosterone replacement therapy, my thoughts on the whole scam industry, because it has turned into a massive scam industry. But testosterone is extremely important. Progesterone and estrogen, these hormones are very important when it comes to your body's ability to function. Now, a lot of times, it's very easy to say, oh, if I get this hormone, the hormone replacement scam industry that's out there, I'm going to get healthy and fit. Okay? So I'm going to go see my doctor at this scam clinic, and they're going to tell me, oh, you have low free testosterone. And they're going to write you a prescription. They're not going to have one single conversation with you about lifestyle and ways to get your hormones leveled out in a natural way first. Now, if your body's not making it anymore, a lot of times pharmaceutical is the only way to go. And I have done everything under the sun to get my body to make more. But the majority of the places, seen them, they won't have one single lifestyle conversation with you. I got lean and as fit and as healthy, probably overtrained, and still had low T. I cut back training, still had low T, changed my diet, cut alcohol for over a year. I did all these things. I'll do a whole nother deal on that. But these clinics maybe there's a good one out there, but what I've seen and what I've heard about, you have low T, here's your testosterone. Oh wait, you drink alcohol every single day? You binge drink on the weekends? You haven't lifted weights in years? Last time you touched weights was in high school. That was 30 years ago. And you have low T? Yeah, let's give you this testosterone. Where the reality is you could probably get your testosterone and your hormones balanced out by fixing your diet, your lifestyle, and lifting weights. but it would probably work that way better for the long game, because there are risks just getting on hormones. There are risks. So you have to weigh the pros and cons of everything. And I'm not going to get into hormone replacement therapy. One, I'm not an expert into it, so I can only share my own experiences with it. But it's just a world that charlatans have come into and will literally dish it out to anybody. And I think that's garbage. Vitamin D is a hormone precursor to a lot of things. It's a lot of function in the body. Our society is very deficient in vitamin D, and there could be a couple arguments made, but I just learned about this deal that this new study that if your body is inflamed, if you have a lot of chronic inflammation going through your body, you can't use vitamin D properly. And if you can't use vitamin D properly, then hormone production can be off and not be taking place the right way. So again, I'm not an endocrinologist. I don't know the pathways. But if you're low in vitamin D, it could be because you're inflamed and you're actually not absorbing the vitamin D that you get. So if you supplement high amounts of vitamin D and you're still not seeing vitamin D go up, it could be an inflammatory issue inhibiting your ability to increase your vitamin D so your body can use it for its functions that it needs to use it for. So when it comes to gut health and inflammation and vitamin D, something to consult a doctor on. Again, I'm learning this as I go a lot with my daughter. So those things, that all matters. Gut health. If your gut microbiome is not healthy, you're simply not going to be able to use nutrients from protein, fats, and carbs in a manner that's going to facilitate healthy metabolism, healthy metabolic function. So I used to think that I had a healthy gut flora. I went poop every day, pretty consistent. But then I dove into what I need to do to have a healthy gut flora, and then everything changed. Now, let's just say I have grade A premium poop now. I feel better. I'm not bloated. I don't get gassy. A lot of people say I used to get gassy if I had like whey protein and like excess protein. It would make me gassy. Now I have the same amount of protein. I eat a source that doesn't have any additives in it anymore. But I'm not gassy at all. I haven't been gassy hardly at all. Like I used to, the protein farts, things like that. I just feel better. My energy's better. Again, I don't feel bloated anymore. There'd be periods of, throughout the days and weeks, like I eat and you just feel a little full. The last 2 months had dramatic change in my gut health, which has also led to some, excess body fat getting used, eaten up. Like my body's functioning better. So trying to think, where can we take this now? It's been an hour. Phone's probably going to melt. But a couple tactical tips, a low-hanging fruit. Start eating less processed foods, more whole foods. Prioritize protein. The body weight that you're trying to achieve. So like for me, I'm 200 pounds. I try to eat 180 to 200 grams of protein per day. I try to get 40 grams of protein in every meal that I eat. Because I only eat 2 to 3 meals per day, 180 grams, I need 60 to 70 grams of protein in each one of those meals. Typically, you've seen some of my breakfast post-workout. That's just packed with calories, packed with protein, and I just eat till I'm full, till I'm satisfied. I don't eat till I'm stuffed. And that's kind of my rules there. Carbohydrates. Oh, another thing on protein. Just recently learned this. Another thing on protein. When you eat protein, okay, so you have 100 grams of protein in this steak, which is 400 calories. 25% of those calories are going to get consumed just in the process of breaking down protein. This is specific and unique to protein at this degree. All right. So when you eat protein, your body is going, this is where the calories in, calories out equation doesn't always mathematically work. You up to 25%. So out of the 400 calories in that steak, 100 of them are going to be used up just in breaking down the protein into usable form of amino acids. So that's like, you feel full from protein, but you're still at a calorie deficit and you're still using more calories to break it down than you ate. Kind of cool. Another reason that just came into my life the other day on why protein is primary. You need protein. You need a range of protein. I'm not going to get into vegan protein sources. I think you need a broad range of proteins. I think you can find a lot of options that work out for there as long as they're whole foods. All right. I tend to eat red meat, chickens, turkey, fish, eggs. I do supplement with whey protein. I usually get 40 grams of my protein every day is from whey protein. I use dairy. I do go for raw dairy now. I don't use ultra pasteurized anymore for various reasons that it's garbage and it can cause inflammation. So I try to stick to grass-fed, free range, all the best. If it's the best and healthiest, that's what I'm trying to stick to. And that's a lot for my daughter. So my family. But protein, king, try to eat 1 gram per pound of your ideal goal weight. And now me or any of the coaches here can help you dial in your macronutrients. No problem. Google calculator can do it. So figuring out your macros isn't rocket science. How much of each to eat can be a little nuance in your lifestyle. Carbohydrates, I typically was trying around 200 grams, which is low for me. Some people would say it's low for me. I do feel good there, and my blood glucose seems to stay a little better there. So that's kind of where I hang out at. If I haven't weighed and measured it for a while, but I do try to. We're going grain-free for a while, but fruits is the main. Fruits and honey are 2 main sources of carbohydrates for me. And then I do like sprouted grains, sprouted oats, overnight oats, potatoes. Sweet potatoes I think are good. I have a pretty gnarly glycemic response to sweet potatoes. So when I do eat them, I want to make sure that I'm eating them right around training because they get into my bloodstream fast. And maybe that's just me. Maybe it's everybody. But because of how quickly they get into my bloodstream, I want to make sure that those carbohydrates are near physical activity so that my muscles use that glucose and my body doesn't have to, force it out. So, carbohydrates, depending on the person, I can put you as low as, 1 gram per pound. I can put you as high as 2 to 3 grams per pound, depending on the goal and how much activity and how much training you do is indicative of how many carbs you want to consume. The quality of the carbs, where you're getting the carbs from, not all carbs are created equal. I think all that matters. So something to have a deeper conversation around, but you need to think of carbohydrate as sugar because that's what it turns into. And you need carbohydrates for protein synthesis to recover and rebuild muscle. Now you do have glycogen storage in your body. So your body can take amino acids and do its thing and help rebuild. And you need glucose, glycogen for that. But eating carbs around training should be the mindset. And then fat, your body needs fat. You need healthy fat. It's in an aerobic state, which is what we are in mostly the 23 hours out of the day. The 1 hour we're exercising where we can get into an anaerobic state without oxygen. We're in a place of oxidizing where our body is going to use fat as its primary fuel source. So I don't count my fat. I never won't weigh and measure it. Maybe I should because I eat Greek yogurt. I do have kefir or kefir, however you want to say it. I eat meat. I eat eggs. So these things have fat in it. I eat an avocado every single day. These things have an abundance of fat. I use olive oil to cook in. I put butter in my coffee. I use coconut oil in my coffee. I get a significant amount of fat, but it is my main fuel source. So, and the way I know I feel, I'm at a caloric deficit. So recently was understood this to be true, that whether you're getting, if you're eating fat, saturated, polyunsaturated fats in excess of a caloric surplus, that fat is going to go to your liver and be turned into, raising your LDLs and your cholesterols and all this stuff. And it's going to turn into more fat. You're at excess. Okay. So you can see these unhealthy metabolic responses coming from excess calories. And if those calories are from fat, it's going to do things like make you fatty. If you have excess calories from carbohydrates, it's going to go into your liver, turn into fat. But this is also where we get triglycerides from. So elevated triglycerides are a consequence of too much carbohydrate not being used. So you get elevated triglycerides, your body is got to deal with them somehow, and it's going to be stored as fat in your blood. And again, I'm learning some of this nuance here as I go in my own journey and understanding a little deeper than just the macronutrients. But it matters. It matters in your metabolic health. So what I'm getting at here is eat protein, eat carbohydrates, eat fat. Just know why you're doing it and prioritize good, healthy protein. Depending on your caloric intake and your energy expenditure, leaner proteins probably better than fattier proteins. And that's where working with a nutrition coach can help dial some of that in for you. Okay. Again, I know my body, how it functions when I'm in a caloric deficit and when I'm in a caloric surplus. So you have to learn that for you. And that's a journey that a nutrition coach can help you with. And that I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody in the gym who needs a little help in this direction. I don't do nutrition coaching. I can, I just don't have the time. But I do have coaches here that have the time for ongoing nutrition coaching. But I can help you get started, point you in the right direction, and give you some fundamental tools to use. So the last thing I got up here is this sphere of influence. Use this for a lot of things. When it comes to weight loss, you have to really focus on what you can control. The center one is what you can control. The next sphere is what you have influence over. The last sphere is things that interest you. When it comes to owning your lifestyle, you need to get rid of the things that just interest you. You need to own the things that you have influence over, that you can actually do things and have influence over, and then the things that you can control. And that's the thing. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control how much you move your body. You can control what you're willing in your effort to learn about this, to apply health and fitness to your life. You have control. Okay? You have it. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that weight loss is easy. In our current modern society where we sit at desk jobs and don't have a lot of daily movement and activity, it's definitely not easy. That's why it's important to surround yourself with a good community. It's important to surround yourself with like-minded people. It's important to be in contact with coaches and people who are knowledgeable in this area to help you on this journey. Because I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. But it is extremely rewarding. Self-confidence and the quality of life that happens when you embark on getting healthier and getting your fitness up is worth it in every single sense of the word. So don't shy away from it, regardless of where you're at. If you haven't done anything in the last 25, 30 years, or if you're just, a month out because of the holidays in a little, funk. Regardless of where you're at on the graph, getting with the right people, working with the right people can be a massive, massive, massive help in getting you going and keeping you going in the right direction. So surrounding yourself with the right people is so important because it's hard to have discipline every day. The consistency, daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, you can do it on your own. I've seen people do it on their own. But I'm just saying, it's better, it's more fun when you're with a community of like-minded people, surrounded by folks that are on the same journey as you are and chasing the same goals as you are of living a healthier and more fit life. You guys, I'm losing my voice. I think I covered the bulk of my thought processes when it comes to weight loss. If you got questions, or if I missed something or misspoke, or didn't explain something correctly here, please let me know. I'm very, very fine being corrected. Again, I got some education in this. I understand it, but I'm not by any means a master endocrinologist and understand all the nuance of little pieces here and there. But I do know some fundamental principles that in its simplicity, it seems complex. The reality is, eat healthy, unprocessed foods, stop eating before you get too full, and move your body. It's that simple. Okay? That's it. So hit me up, ask me questions. Hope this helps a little bit. At least gets the brain going. And get you guys on the next topic, which I'm not sure what that'll be. Whatever you guys want. A lot of people ask me about weight loss. So let me know. Let me know.